Well, joining me is Daphne Caine here, MHK for Garff, and in your 2-year interview you're saying you had some important legislation you were looking forward to bring in, and obviously you want to discuss it there first. But obviously we're recording this the day of House of Keys, you've just literally hot-footed it from there. Divorce, and this is a no-fault divorce is what you're going for. Tell us a bit more about this. Is the Isle of Man not covered in this? Because obviously there's that massive big UK case, Owen v Owen. Is
yes.
that where we're going on this one?
It's similar. That was just a coincidence.
Right.
Now, if I say that I first highlighted that I was interested in bringing forward legislation to enable no-fault divorce in the Children's Champion report that I wrote a year ago, actually it was published in January, this has been prompted by the family court advocates who operate in the system, and they know its flaws and they know how it could be improved. In fact, I received a report this summer from Hazel Smith, who was chair of a working party of family law advocates from the Isle of Man, who have looked into various systems and come up with a proposal of new legislation, modern legislation that could help improve the divorce legislation on the island. And it would be for divorces, civil partnerships, judicial separation.
Are we quite different from the UK at the moment as it stands?
No, our family law follows very closely what they have in England, but what we have, if it's the similar, we could assume we've got the similar numbers, is that 60% are based on fault. So behaviour grounds, somebody would cite unreasonable behaviour or adultery, for instance, and that would go on the record. But if you have one of those fault divorces, you can achieve the divorce in weeks rather than months or years. If you agree, if you both want an amicable divorce, you can wait 2 years. And if one party doesn't agree, it's a 5-year separation. And what came out in the UK this summer, Owens and Owens, Mrs. Owens wanted a divorce, husband didn't. It's gone all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And it seems that unreasonable behaviour isn't unreasonable enough if it's challenged.
It's incredible,
very, very few of divorce petitions are challenged. It's very expensive business. So actually what's the ideas coming out from the family advocates here would actually save people money and also allow it to be more honest system. So people would be able to say, without putting blame on the record and allowing that sort of adversarial and wounds to fester, especially harmful when there's family involved.
Does it come with a quickie divorce though? Almost like, had an argument today, let's get divorced tomorrow. It's all too quick almost.
No, well, what would be in the proposals, which I'm hoping to go out to public consultation on once we've got some principles to really test what the Isle of Man wants, you know, as an island nation, what system proposals work for the Isle of Man. And no, nobody wants to devalue the sanctity of marriage or we all welcome and aware of the strength of a partnership, especially where family's involved. But what we're saying is that usually, and I've been reading the Nuffield Foundation report, they did a massive survey, lots of researchers involved, it's about this thick on my desk, but they've looked into various aspects, hundreds of interviews with couples, and the points that they highlight is that by the time couple have arrived at the decision to divorce, they've probably spent many months, hours deliberating. It's not a decision reached lightly. And then when they want to start the process of divorce, for many, it's the first time they become aware that to achieve an amicable divorce, they have to be separated for 2 years. And actually the emotional strain and the financial strain of doing that can be out of all proportion to what they're trying to achieve.
Still need a lawyer, or was it something you just put an email? I mean, how far down this road do you want to make it simple? Well,
because of the expense of it, many people represent themselves and are litigants in person through the family court, but they're not aware of all the subtleties of how the law works and how it's achieved. Many people, when they find out, for some, a 2-year separation just financially and emotionally with children involved and for the couple themselves, it's just not viable. It's not something that's possible. So perhaps many people might put in a grounds of unreasonable behaviour once the relationship has irretrievably broken down, then saying it's unreasonable behaviour can achieve a divorce in months instead of years. And the difficulty with that is that however willing the two parties might be that one takes the blame and one points finger, that sort of festers away. There is resentment there, and it's forever on the record that this person was to blame and that was their fault, whereas that can have quite an impact on any family in the relationship or future relationships. So what has been prompted by the advocates is actually we could modernise this. We could have a system that reflects modern society and say when two adults determined that the relationship has irretrievably broken down, yes, we can put inbuilt mediation, a cooling off period, a reconsideration period, but ultimately people should be able to achieve a divorce in a measured way in a reasonable amount of time.
Well, you took the house keys today, the initial thing. How did it go down? What's going to go on? Any sort of feedback you got there from the other members?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting debate. I mean, I thought that leave to introduce generally went through fairly simply.
I thought that,
but there were
a few
comments, a lot of support, which was very welcome.
Against?
To say tackling. Well, the Policy and Reform Minister made some comments that I'm saying it was an important piece of social legislation that I could see, and it has been prompted by the family court advocates who work in this area. I think where Mr Thomas was coming from is that there is a whole list of social legislation on the government's list that they need to get to. But obviously we have a proportion of the legal drafters' time that can assist us with putting together legislation that I would hope would address this particular area that has been highlighted as a need by people who are working in this area.
Do you think the churches will get involved? Are you expecting some backlash or input anyway, at least?
I think all input is welcome, and hopefully as many and as broad a range of people will respond to the consultation, when it's probably going to be a couple of months before we're at that point.
How long do you think before you actually see this on the books, you think?
Well, we'll see how the consultation goes. Yeah. We'll see which process and system would best work for the Isle of Man. Because, just to say, in England, 60% of divorces, probably similar here, are based on fault. In Scotland, the fault divorces drops to 6% because they have different procedures that don't promote that. So actually what we're looking to do is improve a difficult situation for anybody who might be going through that, and it'll be wonderful to have as many views as possible so that we get the right process for the future in the Isle of Man for divorcing couples and civil partnerships.